Here we go.
Here we go. Okay. So, hi everyone, and welcome to LANCOOK Online Cafe, where language learning, technology, and cookery come together. We're here broadcasting live streaming actually from Newcastle University and in the iLab Learn, a space where we develop learning technologies, or technology for learning, and where the Digital Kitchen is, the award-winning Digital Kitchen. So we have the LANCOOK team. So let's start with some introduction.
Yeah, my name's Anne. I'm a researcher on developing materials for the Digital Kitchen, and I work with lots of people across Europe, namely in Spain, Italy, Germany, and Finland. And I'm your cook for the evening.
My name is Paul Seedhouse, so I'm the project director. I've been working on the project for the last 3 years.
Hello, my name is Seo Park from South Korea. I'm researching this area with my supervisor, Paul Seedhouse. I really hope you enjoy today's cooking session.
Yes, and I am Sandra. I'm a PhD researcher and a research assistant here in the LANCOOK team. So let's start by asking ourselves, what is the Digital Kitchen? So, Paul, can you tell us what the Digital Kitchen is?
While that's happening, I'll just look at some technical things
here.
Okay, well, the Digital Kitchen, you can look at it in different ways. It's basically an environment for learning languages, cuisine, and culture at the same time. You can also look upon it as a pervasive language learning environment. In other words, the computer is in the background, it fades into the background, and it helps you to carry out a task. In kind of a similar way to sat-nav on your car. Sat-nav speaks to you, gives you instructions as opposed to help you with doing the task. It gives you feedback, verbal feedback. In our kitchen is fairly similar. It's speaking to you all the time. It's giving you instructions, and by use of digital sensors, it can work out whether you're following those instructions or not. It gives you feedback. And people work in pairs on the kitchen, and the idea is for them to cook a meal and also learn aspects of the language by using a variety of resources, and those resources are of course the kitchen system itself, which will help them by giving them photos and videos for any words that they don't know, but they'll also get help from the environment itself, and also we find that they tend to help each other in learning foreign language.
Well, that's grateful, and that's what we will be doing today, and you're going to join the online panel as well. We have an international online panel. We have Dr. Catherine Preston, Yana Lee, who was a master's student and who has experience the Digital Kitchen. Also, we have Veronica Gonzalez from Spain. We have the partners in Spain as well, Dr. Dolores Massat and Dr. Marta Juan-Huix. And we have Gabriele Palotti from Italy. So while we get them online, we will start the cooking session, and we hope you enjoy our Digital Kitchen. Yes. Okay, so let's
we're still waiting actually for people to join. If you are watching this live and you are part of our international panel, please could you click accept, because we're currently waiting for you to join. Perhaps you've not found the button yet, but we've called you a number of times. Just sort of do that live communication there. Yeah, I'll just pass it to Joe.
Yeah, I would like to tell you something while you are waiting for this cooking session. Maybe you can have so many questions while you are looking at this cooking session. Please don't hesitate to ask any question on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'll try my best to help answer your question, whatever it is. Please don't feel free to ask us any question.
Okay, so I'm going to get cooking. As I'm going to cook, we have our personal camera woman who will be doing close-ups of the action as well. And we're going to now ask Paul is going to leave us because too many cooks can spoil the broth, and Paul will be going away, but he will be will appear as a head in the corner of your screen, and if he speaks, we will make his head bigger.
Alright, let's get baking then.
So I'm going to start, we've got our close-up there as well. So we also have our cameraman, Jay, enlarging the screen so you can see what's on the screen. Yeah. Can we check if the panel is online? Do we have someone from the panel?
I don't think we have some panel online yet. But I believe that there will be some people online as a panel while you are looking at this cooking session.
Yeah. Let's try. Okay, so I'm just going to start cooking then. So I'm going to set my thing to go.
Okay.
Excellent. Oh, I'm going to listen to myself telling
Welcome to the English Kitchen. Today you have chosen to make scones.
Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Now, obviously, I'm doing this in my first language, English, and I'm using the English language materials. We just chose this today because we think English sort of be a more appropriate language as a lingua franca, but obviously we do have materials in lots of different languages. So the kitchen's asking me, am I ready to cook? So one of the things I'm going to do is shake my I'm ready tool. Yes, I'm ready to cook. So it's this green tool here, and then the kitchen has detected that. So just
Okay, first you need to collect the following ingredients. Flour.
Okay, so first thing I want is flour. So I think flour is, I know what flour is, so I'm going to bring my flour over, and the kitchen's detected that.
Excellent.
Okay, next one.
Butter.
Butter, okay, I think I'm okay with butter as well. I'm going to think there's frequently used words, and oh yes, I'm right, the kitchen has told me. And next one.
Baking powder.
Baking powder. Now, if I'm a learner, that might be quite a new word for me. I may not know baking powder. I may not have ever used it in cooking. So,
I think we have
Paul.
Yeah, we have Paul.
I've actually picked up salt, and the system has told me no. So, maybe we can ask Paul to talk a little bit about the pre-task, and that's the actual thing that I'm doing now. So could you tell us a bit about the pre-task, Paul? Will I continue to do the pre-task and collect my ingredients and utensils?
Okay.
So, in the pre-task, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sorry, that was the kitchen saying no.
Not us.
The recording of me saying no, not me saying no.
Okay, so in the pre-task, the system is speaking.
Just carry on, that's fine.
Oh, hello, Dolores, I can see you.
Yes, we have Dolores and Yana online as well.
Oh, great.
Welcome, both of them.
Right. So in the pre-task, the system is speaking to people in the kitchen, and it's telling them to pick up ingredients and bring them onto the surface. Okay. So the aim of this is to familiarise the users with the basic vocabulary that they need and the basic objects and ingredients that there are there.
Yeah, and another thing that we've looked at in the pre-task is that it's not only priming the learners in terms of some of the key vocabulary that they're going to use, but also a kind of priming stage, a preparation stage from the point of view of using the kitchen. So the few examples I used where I got some of the items, I was told it was the right one, I got the wrong item, I was told no. That is another example. But also the fact that I'm getting used to the fact that the kitchen is detecting what I'm doing and giving different types of feedback. And it can take, from my experience, it can take learners quite a while or the users to get used to that idea. Oh, we have more people.
Yes,
Very exciting.
Yeah. Hello.
And Anne, could I ask you, when the learners are doing this in pairs, what happens when they do the pre-task in pairs and their interaction with the tablet, for example? What are they expect to do?
Well, obviously, you might have certain learners that sometimes recognise a particular vocabulary item, a word, and another might not. So sometimes learners will let the other one sort of just go ahead, even though they might know that item. Other times you may find that learners actually helping each other. And that's because the idea of the kitchen is not for the technology, but then to really assist collaboration as well. There's a little bit of feedback. I'm not really sure how that's happening, but just to let everyone know. So maybe we can put some questions to the panelists.
Yes. So we were talking about the pre-task here. So maybe Jana, who has experienced the digital kitchen. Hi, Jana. Nice to see you. You can tell us how you felt when you were a learner in this digital kitchen.
Can you hear me first? I'm not sure if you can.
No, it's a bit low. We can't hear you very well. So can you turn the volume a little bit up?
How about now?
Still a bit low.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can move to. Oh, someone else has gone.
Yep.
Try again.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you very clearly.
There's two trying.
Yeah, I actually think there's two people on the Skype at the same, on the Hangout at the same time. We have experienced information. It sounds like a little bit like what going into hell might sound like, when there's just nasty echoes.
Yeah.
And sounds. So it's best to have two people online at the same time with a separate account in the same thing. That's very nice. That's like a little trick.
No.
That's nice, isn't it?
Sí, precisament he tret el meu so perquè no hi hagués delay.
Marta, we'll have to mute, I think. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better now. What is happening now?
We just got some feedback, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to carry on cooking.
Yeah. Just carry on cooking. So can you tell us, Jana, what
Yeah.
about your experience then?
Yeah. I was using a digital kitchen to cook scones. And well, the very impressive things about the scone is very well cooked. And
a baking sheet.
I learned a lot of English vocabulary, and
Scales.
I was communicating with my partners, and there were some problems.
Great.
Understand.
Now that you have collected ingredients,
and but we negotiated with each other about the meaning of the vocabulary, so we kind of managed to finish the task.
Okay, thank you. You're a little bit faint, and we should have a bigger screen there, Joe. But it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to get on with the cooking now.
So now we have all the ingredients here. I'll turn the volume up. Yeah.
Do you have any questions? We need to be checking.
Yes. Do we have any questions on the? Remember that you can put your comments on the YouTube
And Twitter.
and Facebook. And Yaya will be
now remove the sensor from the baking
getting the
sheet
questions for
and place
us.
it in the right bowl.
Okay, so now I've been told to remove the sensor from the baking sheet, because obviously in the pre-task we wanted to be able to give everybody a chance to have a go and identify some of the equipment, but we can't put a sensor in the oven, unfortunately. So our first step is to remove that sensor. And so once I've done that, the system is then, I then shake my green tool and tell the system that I'm ready to move on.
What about the green shade?
And then to 220 degrees.
Well, at this point then, one of the challenges we've had in developing the system is that the system, for example, is going to move on without us necessarily wanting it to, because we can't control everything. At the end of the day, it's a computer, not a human. So we use this green tool to transition between the steps. Oh, like that, and I've demoed it, and then it's moved on. So yeah, so what the kitchen actually does is it asks us, it detects what we're doing. When we're picking up the right objects, it lets us know. And then when it thinks that we're ready to move on, it will actually say, are you ready? So it's that idea of the system being, showing you that it's aware at all points. And that's not only because to do with the kind of moving ahead and the system supporting you going through the recipe, but also giving that support to you as you're going through.
Do we have any comments from the panel? Dolores or Martha? Hello, Martha, are you there? Or Dolores?
Is everything okay?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, and I'm following.
Yes, but I don't know what's happening with Dolores or Martha, but
Maybe get Paul.
yes. So, Paul, can you tell us a little bit more about the health options that we have in the digital kitchen?
The help options, yeah. Sure. So basically, the first time round, if you don't understand something, you can ask for help, and it will repeat that sentence, the instructions, and it will repeat it more slowly.
Brush, like a piece of parchment paper with butter.
The second time around, you can ask for further help, and this time it will show you a photograph of the object or the ingredient that it's asked you to move in some way. And that photograph will also have the word in the foreign language written on the photograph as well. And the third level of help you can get is a video. This is particularly useful if it's asked you to carry out a process, for example, frying onions, let's say. And so you actually see the video of this thing happening, and again, you have the phrase written in the foreign language there. So it gives you various levels of help, and it's designed to give you, if you like, scaffolded support as you're going through the process.
Okay, thank you. So it was thought all about in the sense of giving scaffolding not only with one medium of help, but in different levels. So if a person doesn't understand what the kitchen is saying, then they have an image and subtitles as well.
Yeah, so even if you're a complete beginner in the language, so as I went to Finland, to Helsinki, and tried out the Finnish kitchen, even so, with the help of the photographs and the video, and also the kitchen context is very important. You understand a lot of things because you've got the equipment around you. So with that, we can usually get through the recipe.
So that's why the digital kitchen is for anyone and everyone who would like to learn a second language, because even if they don't know, if they don't have any knowledge of a second language, they can learn with this scaffolding process that the digital kitchen gives you. So Jana, can you, oh, she's not there anymore. How are we doing in the kitchen here, Anna?
Well, if we, yeah, thank you, Jo. So what I'm doing now is I'm lining my baking sheet with parchment paper. Now when we designed this scones recipe, there was a certain issue where we get feedback of people talk to us about the recipes that we've developed. And sometimes this is quite a controversial cooking step, because people will say, why are you lining a baking sheet? Because actually all you need to do is use the baking sheet itself. But what
Back to the baking sheet.
Yes, let's go back to the baking sheet, Jack. Thank you. So, but one of the things is, some people do line a baking sheet, and it's good to have those kinds of steps, because that just gives further kind of activity, adds further activity to the recipe, and further actions to give people the chance to learn extra additional vocabulary and different verbs. So
I have to say that it is amazing, because when I used the digital kitchen, I didn't know what parchment paper was.
yeah, this is
So-
parchment paper.
So now, after using the digital kitchen,
Oh, there's Jay. We can see Jay as well. Yeah. Great. So I've lined my, and then what's been ready to move?
Next, sift flour into the mixing
Oh,
bowl.
now actually, what's happened there is it's jumped ahead slightly, because of the excitement of the omelette. So I'm just going to go back a couple of steps. Now that might happen.
Weigh 8 ounces of flour.
Right. So now I'm going to weigh my flour.
Line the baking sheet with parchment paper.
Okay. So now I will weigh my flour. Can we perhaps jump back
Is
to
everything
the
okay?
Yes. Yes, because I think Jana has left us already, but
220 degrees.
maybe Marta or Dolores can talk about their experience
220 degrees.
in the digital kitchen.
Their microphones seem to be turned off from Marta and Dolores.
Ah, okay, so they're not in there.
Using the pastry brush,
The side of the microphones are off.
Yeah, that's what's happened, is that they've muted them.
So, Jana, what kind of words did you learn when you were using the digital
the
kitchen?
pastry brush, lightly grease the parchment paper with butter.
Can you put Jana on the big screen?
Next, sift flour into the mixing bowl.
Jana, are you there? No, she's not there.
Weigh 8 ounces.
So, Paul, can you tell us a little bit more about the technology that we have here, particularly with the sensors?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the sensors, they're called accelerometers, and if any of you have ever used Nintendo Wii games, then you'll know what they are. So they're basically small sensors, and they're designed to detect movement in 3 dimensions. So if you're playing Nintendo Wii and you're playing tennis like that, and you're moving the racket, then the sensor is sending a signal to the main system, and it's interpreting your 3-dimensional movement. So you then see yourself on the TV screen playing tennis. So what happens here then is that we've taken these accelerometers, small red sensors, and we've put them into the kitchen in terms of, first of all, the ingredients, and secondly, the utensils that we use for cooking. So the way we attach them to the ingredients, any ingredient can be put within a plastic container, and you put a sensor on the side of it. And it's the same with utensils. We can put them inside a spoon. We can attach them to the scales. We can attach them to the kitchen door. Any of those things. And so when the system gives you an instruction, it tells you to take the knife and cut a slice of butter. Then the system is looking for movement from the sensor that's on the knife, and it's looking for movement from the sensor which is on the butter container. Okay? And when it's detecting movement from both of those, and then the movement is finished, then it assumes that you have carried out that action. And there's more to it than that, because the system can distinguish the type of movement that you're making. So it can tell the difference between making a cutting movement with a knife and the movement you can make with a which which isn't much use at all, really.
Okay. Yes, so we're just going to add someone else to a call. Give us 1 second. That's it. And we've actually got
Veronica.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Veronica. How are you?
Good, good. Took me a while to get into the conversation.
Have you been watching us all this time then?
Yeah.
Good, good. So, in your experience as a teacher, a language teacher, what can you tell us about the benefits that the digital kitchen can bring to the language classroom?
Well, I think it's really, really good for students to see that they are involved in a task while learning a language, because that increases their motivation. So I find it really helpful. Also for practicing not only vocabulary but also pronunciation, like listening.
Exactly. So we have an integration of language skills in the digital kitchen that can actually foster language learning and motivate our students. Can you tell us about your experience in terms of using technology for motivation?
Yeah, sure. So I taught in a high school in Spain some months ago for a month and a half, and I used the task-based method for the first time in class with this group of, it was first year of bachillerato, so the students were between 16 and 17 years old, and they had a Skype conversation with students from Amherst College in the United States. So they had the topic was sports, athletics in that university, and they had a chat like in groups of 2 with these people, and it was the first time that after 12 years of being introduced to the English language, they actually used it in a real context. So after that, I did some tests and all of that, and the results were amazing, and especially the evaluation that the activity got was the highest of all the activities that we did during the weeks. So for them, it was actually really useful to see that what they have been learning for many years, they could apply that to real life, to interact with other people and other cultures.
Right, and that's what we have tried to do as well in the digital kitchen, because when people come here and cook, they have English, for example, lingua franca, but they also they bring their own L1 as part of the cultural experience.
Yes.
So when they come here and both of the students talk to each other and interact with the digital kitchen, their cultural awareness is also encouraging, and that motivates them to keep learning.
I think Dolores is online now.
Oh, Dolores?
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Veronica.
So I've been online since we started, but I do not know why, but the microphone was silenced. I've been here all the time.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the digital kitchen in Barcelona?
Yes, we use a digital kitchen to teach foreign students how to cook typical Catalan dishes in Catalan, and also how to cook typical Spanish dishes in Spanish. So we carry out our trials at the university with Erasmus students, and it was a great success. But then we also took the kitchen to a primary school, and we taught 2 groups of 25 kids how to cook a cat cake using the kitchen. So we had, I think, ours were the youngest students using the kitchen because they were 7-year-olds.
Oh wow! So what do you think are the main differences that you observed by bringing the digital kitchen to schools and by using it with higher education students?
Well, basically the main problem was the organization of the classroom. the classroom management thing, because at the university we had pairs of students, so two students working with one kitchen, and at the school we also had one kitchen, but we had 25 students, so we divided the students into groups. So it was one was like pair interaction, and the other group work interaction.
Mm-hmm. So, and in terms of motivation, like Veronica mentioned, do you think they were motivated at schools and at university as well?
Yes, they were motivated for different reasons, of course. Because at the university they were motivated because they could understand the machine and they could interact with the machine directly with the kitchen. At the school, motivation came because they understood instructions. We were a little bit complex, but they were motivated to make the sensors move. They really loved that. They wanted to keep the sensors. Obviously, this was not possible.
Yes, I guess that's the thing with technology nowadays, and that's why it is the digital kitchen is so popular with our students, because of the technology, because it's a fun way of learning, and of course, food brings people together. So, do we have a question?
Yeah, I think so. We have a question. One of the two main targets of using this technology in digital kitchen is to learn language, foreign language, and also learn a cultural aspect by using this digital kitchen. So the question is this: how can we learn some cultural aspect in digital kitchen? Can any of our panel members tell about this question?
Yes, I can try and answer that. So in many countries in Europe, a particular food is associated with a particular cultural event. So maybe it's a particular festival, and so food. This then gives you an insight into the culture. So, for example, here in England, we have a day which we call Bonfire Night on November the 5th, and that takes place outside, and so there's particular food that we prepare for that. And I know we haven't got anybody from Germany here, but Germans they like to go out and get asparagus very much in the spring. That gives them insight into German culture. We don't have anybody from Finland here tonight, but one of the Finnish recipes is fish soup. So this, I've been over to Helsinki and cooked fish soup there and eaten it. Very nice, and it tells us about culture as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer, Paul. And can I ask you about the cultural aspect to Veronica? So can you tell me about your experience in terms of this cultural learning?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. I think Paul has just mentioned about how to learn some cultural aspect in his experience. You must have gone through this experience before, so have you learned any cultural aspect in digital kitchen?
Excellent.
In addition to learning foreign vocabulary.
Using the knife, add the butter.
Well, if I think, for example, that Spanish people are usually associated to some stereotypes, and it would be a good way of showing people that Spanish not only cook just tortilla and paella, but also other food. So it would be really useful for breaking stereotypes and bringing other types of food into to other cultures. I don't know if that's what you were asking for.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, sure.
Apart from what Paul said, I think that the cultural element is present in other things. It's present in the videos that students can see about how the dishes are actually, or the culture associated to the dishes, but also when they are performing the actions. So, for example, the use of some of the utensils are also culturally bound. So, for example, for the Spanish tortilla, we didn't use a peeler to peel the potatoes. We use a knife. Because here, that's the instrument that we use. We use a knife. So when the foreign students were listening to the instructions, they did not understand very well the meaning of the verb peel. So they had a knife and they wanted to cut the potatoes, and they were discussing, but we cannot cut the potatoes without peeling them. And they were saying, but we have nothing to peel the potatoes with. And they had a knife. For example, for the Spanish tortilla, we didn't use a peeler to peel the potatoes. We use a knife. Yeah, that's the instrument that we use a knife. So when the foreign students were listening to the instructions, they did not understand very well the meaning of the verb peel. So they had a knife and they wanted to cut the potatoes, and they were discussing, but we cannot cut the potatoes without peeling them. And they were saying, but we have nothing to peel the potatoes with. They had a knife. For the Spanish tortilla, we didn't use a peeler to peel the potatoes. We use a knife.
Okay.
When the students were listening to the instructions, they did not understand very well the meaning of the verb peel. And I'm not saying anything. The potatoes, they were and this is a loop.
Okay, so somebody is watching the YouTube. Still just participate in the Hangout. Oh, yes. That is so beautiful.
There we go, and we have Catherine as well. Hello. Dr. Catherine Preston. Hello. We put her on the big
Dr. Catherine Preston, I think you had the YouTube playing at the same time to Hangout.
Yeah, we can put Catherine on the big screen now. Hi, Catherine.
No.
Yeah. Press on.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Catherine?
Have I done it right now?
Have you been watching us?
I have.
Yes.
And my question, do you want a question?
Yes, we like questions. Yes.
My question is about the work you've done on the sensors, because having known a bit about the kitchen from the outset, I know that you had to do several sort of prototypes with these, and I'd like to know what problems you've overcome, how you've done it, and if you've got any future ideas about how the sensors are going to work even better.
So can we have Paul taking that question?
Yeah, sure. We've actually had a number of projects involving digital sensors. So we've been collaborating with computer scientists, Patrick Olivier over in Computing Science.
Yeah.
The first project they produced was called the Ambient Kitchen, and that was designed for people with dementia to talk them through cooking in their own homes. After that, the first project we did was called the French Digital Kitchen, which was involving English people. And we know problems with these sensors in that first project. So, for example, because you're using sensors in a kitchen environment, they get a lot of damage inflicted on them by people.
Yes, I know, yeah.
So, so the first project in the environment you can see there, when we first used it, what happened was everybody would use all of the equipment. They'd put water in the sink, and at the end of it, they'd throw all the equipment into the water in the sink. Yeah. Okay, and so this destroyed the sensors. Right, so one of the first things we did, or rather my colleagues in computer science did, was to develop a casing, a very strong casing, to try and protect the sensors.
I think every
kind of damage they get.
That's just evidence, is it? Thank you.
So I wonder if you could hold up one of the sensors close to the camera, so they can get a look at what the sensors are like close up.
So we'll show on the screen while you're talking, Paul. So.
Okay, that's fine. So they've got a very strong protective casing now. They don't protect from all mishaps, though. We did have somebody who left one on the baking sheet, and that went in the oven for an hour, so there wasn't much left of it at the end of the hour. Also, when I was in Germany, I was cooking a recipe, and the sensor is on the end of the frying pan, and I was so immersed in the task that I didn't notice that one of the sensors was hanging over the hot plate, and so fortunately it wasn't ruined. But the point is that it's designed to be an immersive task. You concentrate on getting the task done, and you don't pay much attention to anything else, and so you get accidents happening with the other sensors. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's obvious you've had to do a lot of work on them, and I think you've done a brilliant job, considering obviously all the accidents that have happened and will continue to happen.
Yeah, and I think I just wanted to say, linked to the sensors, that obviously the sensors are a hardware, but what they actually represent are prompting. So one of the other challenges we've had, I'll just silence myself. Yeah. So one of the other problems, one of the challenges that we've been overcoming is, for example, the sensors detect movement and non-movement, but humans don't act like robots and do exactly what they're told. So how do we look at the sort of recognition, how the sensors can recognize what people are doing and do the right thing at the right time? So at the beginning of the project, the prompts that were given for the instructions were just given, and then the help that we gave was just automatically given. So what we now do is use the sensors a lot more to detect when help needs to be given and what help needs to be given. So where the relationship between the prompts and the sensors is a lot more defined. So we're making more of the sensors themselves. That's kind of like the software-hardware relationship between them. Sorry, I must get back to cooking.
Can you go back to cooking and show what Anne is doing now, please?
So now what I'm doing is I'm tossing the mixture with a fork, just like Nigella might do. Toss some mixture around. And so so I'm ready to move on. So I'm going to shake my shaker, and now I'm going to be given the next instruction.
Next, dust the kitchen counter with some flour.
Okay.
Shake the green iron wedding tool to let me know when you're ready to move on.
Okay, so this step is basically, it doesn't have a sensor. So there's another challenge, cooking with sensors and prompts. So basically what we've done for that is that basically the learner has to shape the green tool. In the future, just linked to Catherine's question about the future of sensors. Thank you. Is that what you may do? Obviously, you could have sensors in wristbands, and that would be able to, the wristbands would be able to detect, for example, what you're doing with your hands and give correction. Like that. So I'm going to just quickly dust the counter now.
Do we have any questions from the online community there?
Not yet.
Yes, well, we must have some.
Yes.
I think we do.
Yes, we do have questions, I think. I think someone is asking, why scones? Why scones?
Why are you asking that?
Why scones and not pudding, like Yorkshire pudding, for example?
Oh yeah, we did think about Yorkshire pudding actually, but we just thought scones are quite interesting because of the baking kind of side of it. It does involve some technique. So, for example, scones need to be light and airy, and there's various techniques within that. So the idea that cooking skills could be incorporated into the recipe. Scones are obviously a traditionally British dish, and you can get different types of scones. So you may get scones in Scotland, or scones in Wales, well, Welsh cakes you might say, and then with different fillings. Today we're making English scones. Scones.
Or scones, yes.
Scones, yes, scones as well. And they are plain scones, and we're going to be adding jam and cream. So,
yes. So I hope that's that's a great answer.
Thank you for your question.
For the person online, maybe someone from South America asking that why scones. Do we have any more questions?
Yes, we have one more question.
All right, Jay.
Yes, someone asked about, so we are learning some foreign language. I think, are they all about noun, or do you have any vocabulary that is related to your movement, verb?
You mean about testing, things like that, or just generally?
Just generally. Are we learning just foreign language of noun?
Yeah.
Can we learn any language of verb?
Well, actually, like maybe this, because I do have to get on with this phone, so well, we're going to go without them. Maybe we could ask Paul about the vocabulary and the verbs.
Sure. Yes, they certainly need to learn verbs in order to carry out the task. So they may get an instruction like chop.
Roll the dough into a large round.
They may be told to slice.
Using your hands, put the dough onto the surface and knead.
Oh, just carry on.
Also, if you remember Dolores' answer earlier, she said that the students had a problem with the verb to peel. Okay, so yes, there are certainly a number of verbs involved in cooking which they learn. If they don't know, if they don't understand the verb to peel, then they can get help on that, first of all by the photograph and then by the video, so you can actually see the motion. You can see somebody that's on the actual peel. Yeah. When, in England, when we did the vocabulary testing, we actually only tested nouns, but there's no reason why we can't test the learning of verbs as well.
Yeah, and one of the things we've looked at as well is the relationship between the nouns and verbs. So, for example, there's a number of nouns within cookery where there's a direct relationship. So you've got like sieve and to sift. So that's quite an interesting thing to look at for those interested more in kind of the psychology of learning and issues around cognition and things like that.
Maybe we can get Dolores as well to say something about vocabulary.
What's the question? Hello?
Hello? Hi, Dolores.
Hi.
Just if you could tell us your experience in terms of the vocabulary learning in the digital kitchen in Spain, because someone was asking about that, and if it's only...
I think that what we have not mentioned here yet is that before trying the kitchen, the students did a sort of test, a pre-test, to see the vocabulary they knew. As Paul said, the vocabulary was not related to verbs of actions. The vocabulary was just about to recognize the ingredients in the utensils. And then the students started with the kitchen, with a pre-task, to make sure that they were presented with this vocabulary. Then they cooked, and at the end, they did a post-test. So what we are working now on in terms of research, we are examining those students in which there is a change in the words that they were using in the pre-test. Sometimes they use the word in another language, or they did not know the word, and the words that they are using in the post-test, which we are happy to say that at the end they were able to name all the ingredients and the utensils that they used. And then what we are doing is try to examine in which moments during the interaction with the kitchen, while they were cooking, in which moments they were learning this vocabulary. because there are times you can see that. You can see that, for example, they did not know how to say pan, for example, or pot, and then when they listen the machine saying that, they keep on repeating that word. So we have evidence of how students are trying to learn that specific vocabulary while they are engaged in the task of cooking.
Maybe we can ask, say a bit more about the collaboration as well.
Yes, so maybe our collaboration expert, Dr. Can you tell us a little bit more about the collaboration in the digital kitchen, or potential collaboration in digital kitchen?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, oh good. Yes, I was just thinking about that while, is it Dolores we're speaking?
Yeah, I was speaking before. Hi.
Hello. The interactions that children make when working together or in small groups in their mother tongue are obviously quite spontaneous and quite flowing, and it would be interesting to compare the kind of interactions that go on in this more, how can I say, more novel situation where they're having to use two languages at the same time. Do you understand what I mean? So that the idea of peer-to-peer learning, which is, you know, helping, scaffolding, all those different things, how does that work when you're working in the language and using things at the same time? Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot of different cognitive processes that are involved in the whole collaboration. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, Paul, does that make sense for the digital kitchen?
Yep.
What do you think, Paul?
Well, what? Oh, right. Sorry.
You mean in terms of cognitive load?
Yes. Yes. Very much so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it increases the cognitive load, but I always think that when you're in the kitchen, you try and you concentrate more on getting the task done than on anything else, right?
Yes.
So you don't spend all the time worrying about how do you conjugate this verb or anything like that. It's a matter of getting the information. You can get the information that you need to carry out the task from a variety of sources. You're getting input from the system, but you're also looking at the kitchen equipment around you. You're interacting with another person. And so basically, I think the cognitive load is more focused on getting the task done than worrying about language so much.
Yes. The other reason why I bring this up is because I'm primarily involved in music and children learning music together. And when they are essentially novices, which most young people are when it comes to cooking as well, they will use the instruments, they will complete the task just in the same way that you've said, that the idea is to get a piece of music out at the end of it. They've got to use things that are relatively unfamiliar. So this whole interaction becomes quite complex, but also, I would suggest, quite stimulating for the people involved. Because although we talk about cognitive load, it's actually, I would suggest, a very stimulating way of multitasking in order to get the job done at the end, and learning, which obviously is the primary aim. So that's one of the things that I found very interesting in the way that the kitchen works, is very much like, you know, there's your instruments, children, off you go, create some music, and it's the same process.
Great. I'm going to log out now and come back down into the kitchen.
Yes, I think the scones are almost ready. What's happening now, Annie?
So I've just been asked to put the scones in the oven. So that's quite nice. And obviously it's coming up to the end of our session now. So here's some that I did make earlier. Lovely.
Very good.
We're just going to prepare them while we're waiting for Paul. But maybe we could just ask for some final comments from our panelists while I'm just preparing
the scones. And we wait for Paul to come down, so
we can get some final comments.
Do we have any questions from the online community? Georg first.
I don't think so.
Okay, so can we have some comments from the panel then, the online panel? Final comment.
Could I ask a question, please?
Yes.
I'd like to know, I heard from the person in Spain that they cooked tortilla, right? Up to which point does a kitchen allows you, like, what type of dishes have you prepared? Basically, like baking or also like cooking more elaborated dishes? Like, is it limited to certain type of food, or can you cook like anything that implies those utensils?
You can cook anything. You simply.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So you can cook anything, because the only thing that you need to do is to assign the sensor to the kind of utensils that you want to use.
Okay.
So for example, we had a blender for some recipes and we didn't have a blender for another, or we had a burner for crema catalana to burn the sugar, but we didn't have these utensils for another recipe. And when we took the kitchen to the school, we didn't use the hot plates because that's dangerous for kids. So we prepared
that's what I was concerned about. Yeah.
Yeah, we prepared a dish with a sponge cake that was already made, so that children didn't have to be in contact with nothing that burns.
Okay.
You can do anything. You can use an oven, hot place, and cook without fire.
Yeah, because I was more concerned about like taking that to places in which you cannot actually, for example, have an oven, or you know what I mean. Like, I was trying to think like different contexts in which you could not use it, but I find it that it's pretty like you can do almost everything that you want with that. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So we are actually coming to the end now of our experiment in online streaming from the kitchen. And this is one of our first goes at it. We think it's gone quite well.
Yes.
We obviously had some teething issues at the beginning. That's all part of the fun.
And it's the internet, online communities and online streaming tend to be a little bit chaotic at the beginning, but I think it went pretty well. So
nobody swore.
No, that's important. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So can we have Paul here back again? So you can tell us.
Andrea, please come in.
So he can tell us about the future of the digital kitchen.
Yes, if I can. I'm a bit distracted by the scones here. Never mind. So what are our future plans then? Well, we're hoping to produce materials in other languages, cuisines and cultures. So Georg is doing a PhD with us, and he's developing materials for Korean cuisine, which I've actually cooked myself and eaten, and it was very tasty.
Just like scones.
That's right. So we're hoping to do further languages, Chinese and Arabic next, and then apart from that, apart from the food, we're actually cooperating to write a book. That will be out in about a year and a half's time, and that will be contributed to by all of the partners in Italy, Spain, Germany, Finland, and the UK. And then we also hope that we'll get another grant, and we want to produce a smartphone app so that you'll download this app for free, and then it will talk you through cooking a meal in another language. Of course, there won't be any digital sensors involved, but then it's quite convenient. You just have your phone and you put it next to your kitchen, and then it talks you through everything that you need to do, in a whole variety of ways.
Very exciting news for the future. Then, so
my scone now.
Have your scone, and for the people online, they can find us on Facebook. Leave your comments in this YouTube streaming, and also Twitter.
Yeah, and thank you so much to our panellists for coming along. We think we may do this again, and it might be interesting for us to everybody to be cooking in their kitchens. And we're going to be talking to each other, and people can watch this kind of massive online cooking session. Because we do like to do things that are interesting here, and they may not be perfect, but they're always a lot of fun.
Yes.
So anyway, cheers everyone. Cheers to LANCOOK.
Thank you.
Bye. They look delicious.